like to share a story with you about the true events I experienced on the night of September the 20th, 2022. But so that you may understand the impact that night had on me, why don't I start with what happened to me that next morning on the 21st of September 2022. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I woke up that morning, 6 a.m., like always. Got up, went to the bathroom to handle my business, shower and everything, shave, you know. Got dressed, went and jumped in my car like any other normal morning. Got out my driveway, made the left, and started driving towards work. As I got to about a quarter of a mile down the road from my house, it became frighteningly real that I was experiencing something I never experienced before. As I was driving, I would tell, you know, when in your body, your mind tells your body what to do. This is how I believe the natural function of the body to work. But for some strange reason, I was telling my foot to press on the gas pedal, and I noticed I had a hard time keeping my foot on the gas pedal. I also had a hard time steering the car. In other words, what frightened me was that my body was not responding to my mind the way it normally does, which again, what's so frightening about that is because I was driving, and the first thing I thought is, what's the matter with me? Oh no, what's the matter with me? I can't drive, what's going on? So once I realized I was having this problem, I wrestled with myself, struggling to pull the car over. You see, when I first left my driveway and I made the right and I started driving, okay, I was doing everything by memory. You know, what you do on a daily basis, what you do every morning when you wake up, it's usually the same routine. And that's how I was conducting things that morning. But again, as I started driving, I noticed, it became apparent that my body and my mind were not working together. So again, I struggled to pull the car over. I finally got the car pulled over. And I took a deep breath. And I said, what is wrong with me? I've never felt that way before. Something was terribly wrong. My body was not responding to my mind. I sat there and said, maybe if I take a break, let me just take a break. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I haven't fully waken up yet. I don't know. But I also thought in the back of my mind, something was telling me, but how can that be possible? I said to myself, because I just felt, all of a sudden now I started feeling like very lightheaded. I wasn't feeling myself at all. So I said to myself, I can't go to work like this. I have to find a way to make it back home. And then the next thing that occurred to me was wait, because I had a number of appointments with different clients. So while I was sitting there, I called all my clients up and I canceled everything for the day. And somehow, through the grace of God, I was able to make a U-turn and slowly make my way back to my house, which, mind you, I was only at that point about a half a mile away from my house, because I had to drive up to make the U-turn. It was very laborious, but I finally made it back to my house. So I called up my clients, I canceled all my appointments, I made it back to my house. I was so relieved when I made it back and pulled back into my driveway. That in itself was very hard to do, because again, my body was not responding to my mind. It was responding like very delayed and slow. So I was relieved I finally made it back to my house. So I went back in the house, took off my clothes, and jumped back into bed. I woke up about 1:30, 1:45 in the afternoon. And I can remember waking up and opening my eyes and popping up and right away like moving my arms and my legs and stuff. And I could see right away I was back to normal. I was saying to myself, what happened to me? What was that about? My body acting like that? What's wrong with me? So in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like sort of thinking, I gotta make my way to the doctor or something, find out what's wrong with me, what happened to me. But I was just, again, relieved that I felt normal again. I could move my extremities, no problem. My body was responding to me, and I didn't have that light head feeling. And again, as I sat at the edge of the bed and I pondered what could be wrong with me, what happened, and I started to reflect on the night before. When I started to reflect on the night before, that's when it all came rushing into me and it all hit me. You see, I hadn't given one thought to the night before. From the moment I woke up that morning, went to the shower, used the bathroom, everything, I hadn't reflected at all on the night before. What need was there to do that? Right? I just jumped in my car to go to work. But as I sat on the edge of my bed, about 1:30, 1:45 after I woke up, and I asked myself that question, all at once it came rushing into me. It came, and I remembered. I started to remember what happened the night before. The night of September 20th, 2022. I remembered I was sleeping. I went to bed and I was sleeping. Don't know how long I had been sleeping, but all of a sudden, I woke up. I was awakened out of my sleep. And I was standing in what appeared to be some type of room. I've never seen this room before. This room looked totally alien to me. Nothing about it screamed earth or the materials that the room was made out of. I'd never seen it before. As I looked around the room, the whole room was white, and the walls, the ceiling, and the floors seemed to be made with square pearls, square white pearls. And the minute I arrived in that room, the minute I found myself in that room and I started looking around, I seen that the squares, the bricks, or whatever it was that were made out of pearls, was moving. When I say moving, like, it's like at the time when I was put into the room was still being constructed together. The giant pearl sort of bricks were like, had life in themselves, and they were like coming together to form the walls and to form the floor. They were like coming together, and they were coming together by themselves, like they were coming together and forming out the room. And again, it looked like giant white pearls, square white pearls, so that once all the pearls came together in the room, it was just all white. And immediately I started screaming, I started demanding, where am I at? Where am I? Where am I? What is this place? Where am I at? Because I know I was just in my bed sleeping. How did I get here? Just then, as I'm screaming out, where am I at? Where am I at? Almost frantically screaming this out, I turn to my left, and there's this guy coming towards me. And I'll do my best to describe to you how he looked. He was a so-called black man. He had, at that moment, what I noticed about him is that he had what appeared to be some type of cane in his hand. Some type of cane in his hand, which later on, as the more I thought about it and I reflected back, I found that what he had in his hand was a scepter. And the scepter that he had in his hand, it had some type of like crystal, some type of crystal on the top of it, and he was holding it in his hand. And again, as I turned to the left, he was stepping up towards me, coming towards me. He came towards me, holding the scepter in his hand, and he started talking to me. He started talking to me. And he was a very polarizing individual. Very polarizing. Okay? One of the most polarizing individuals I've ever seen in my life. Just the way he talked to me. And don't ask me what he was saying, because I don't remember. I can't remember one thing that he was saying to me. This is what I remember about what he was saying to me. When he first started talking to me, he caught my attention because whatever he was talking to me about, it sounded otherworldly. It was otherworldly. I can't explain to you how I know, how I remember that. I just remember the things that he was saying to me. I'd never heard of it before. And it was what he was saying, as he talked to me, what he was saying was drawing me in. But then at one point, he said something. He said something, and I kind of like backed away a little bit, and I said, no. I said, no. I said, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe what my father tells me. I don't believe that. I believe what my Father tells me. My Father created all things, and without him breaking stride in what his stride, without him breaking stride in what he was saying, he just continued to talk in that same tone. He didn't say, well, what about this, or what? No, he just kept talking in that same tone and went right into something else. And so, like, I'm just standing there and I'm listening to him like, yeah, okay. And it sounded real deep. What he was saying was otherworldly. And again, he was drawing me in again. Until he said something. And I said, wait, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. No, I don't believe in that. I believe what my Father tells me. No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. And again, he didn't break stride in what he was saying to me. It seems like every time I said, no, I don't believe in that, it seemed like every time he kept on talking, whatever he was saying got more stronger. It got more stronger. Now, after the second time when I told him, no, I don't believe in that, and he just kept on in that same relaxed demeanor, just talking to me, what he said next was more stronger than what he had been telling me. And as he talked to me, this was the scary thing. As he spoke to me, I could feel my soul, my spirit being drawn to him. It's like the more he spoke to me, the more I listened, the more my spirit, my soul was like wanting to pull out of me and go towards him. And as I sat and as I stood there and I listened to him, I was like drawn to him. But then he said something and I caught myself and I was like, no, I don't believe. And I was terrified at that point. I was terrified even though I can't remember nothing he said to me, but at that point, I was terrified at the power of his words and how I was terrified at the fact that I could feel my soul leaving. It was like being like he was pulling my soul out of me. And at that point I said, no, I don't believe in that. No. Father, help me, Father. And I started calling on the Lord. I started calling on my Father. I said, Father, help me, Father, help me, Father, help me. And as I said that, I started seeing a very bright light above me, like sort of gliding towards me. Now, the vastness of this room, I can't explain to you. Because when I started screaming out, Father, help me, Father, help me, I seen the light start coming, a bright light. It started coming, like it was up like towards like the ceiling, like as if it was coming from up above. It was sliding across, coming towards me from up above. When I seen the light coming towards me, I noticed, because I seen the light and I was looking at the light coming towards me, right? And I turned back to look at the man that was talking to me. And his back was now turned to me and he was just walking away. Once that light, the bright light started coming, his back he just turned and he started walking away from me. And I guess once I seen the light, the fear wasn't there no more. Once I seen that light coming towards me, it's like the fear just left me. And now I'm concentrating on the guy. And I'm saying, where's he going? I remember I was standing there and I'm looking at him walk away from me. I'm like, where's he going? Right? And I noticed that when he was walking away from me, he started like descending down. He started like descending down as if on an elevator. As if on an elevator. And he started going down. And I was like, I never seen nothing like that. I was like, where is he? You know, you see things in movies, you know? But this was happening right in front of me. I'm like, where? I'm looking at where he's going. I'm like looking, trying to see where he's going. Because he was like going down, like he was on the elevator, and it was taking him down. And as I peered down to see where he was going, all I seen was nothing but redness. Like it was red and hot, like fire down there. Now, this is an experience that there's not much time to contemplate certain things. It wasn't, because all of this was just happening and I was just witnessing what was going on. So there wasn't time to contemplate certain things yet. So as I was looking at him go down, I noticed something that I did not notice before. Number one, again, his back was kind of like, as he was going down, his back was kind of turned to me, but I could still see him from a side view. And I seen that he was smiling. He had a big, creepy grin on his face as he was going down. And I noticed also, now I'm looking at what he was wearing. And he had like these robes on. Like the type of robes that kings wear. Something like that. Like really smooth looking type of robe he had on. And then I also noticed he had a crown on his head. I didn't notice that before when he was talking to me. He had like this crown on his head. So he had that scepter thing in his hand. He had on them like kingly robe. And he had that crown on as he was going down, and he had a big smile on his face. Then I turned to my right because there was someone approaching me.